Hi, I'm John Gibson, reporting for Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching. Now to the top story. London authorities are trying to sort out who was responsible for yesterday's terror attempt. As I mentioned, a man suspected in the plot was shot and killed by police on a subway platform today. Was this powerful response an indication that the Brits are really ready to get tough on terror? Joining us now from Las Vegas, former CIA counterterrorism officer Jeff Beatty, and from Washington, Eric Stakelbeck, a terrorism analyst for the Christian Broadcasting Network. Let me go to Jeff first. Jeff, this chase down, tackle, and shoot in the subway of London, very dramatic. It traumatized a lot of subway riders. Was it the right thing to do?
Absolutely, John. I mean, what you see happening there is what we call actionable intelligence at work. The Brits have a tremendous surveillance system out there in London, and probably what happened, and this will come out, I'm sure, is that this great array of cameras identified this potential suspect, and then police were vectored in on him. They were watching him. They were vectored in on him. Takes a few minutes or a few seconds. The timing was awful tight, John. I mean, he actually did get into the subway system, vaulted over a turnstile, according to some reports, was clearly wearing clothing inappropriate for the 70-plus degree temperature today. After repeated times being told to halt, he continued on to where the crowded personnel were. I think that the Brits were outstanding today.
Eric, you know something. You have a source that gave you some information about that shooting today. What have you learned?
Yeah, John. You know what? A British source tells me that British snipers have been following Islamic terrorist suspects in London since the 7/7 attacks. Now, this guy today, we don't know if he was one of the guys that he was monitoring, but we do know that British police don't carry weapons. This very well may have been some of the snipers that were tracking him. But why, John, do the Brits need snipers to track these guys? Why don't they just lock them up if they're suspected of being would-be suicide bombers? Well, because the Brits have really weak anti-terrorism laws. What they need, it would be illegal for the Brits to just snatch these guys up and throw them in jail like they should. What the Brits need, frankly, John, is a British equivalent of the American Patriot Act.
Yeah, you know, Tony Blair is trying to get just such a thing passed and was trying the morning of the bombings 2 days ago. Jeff, what about the attempted bombing with the 4 duds and that produced the pictures of these 4 bombers running away from their dud bombs? Do you think does it seem to you that those are bombs that were prepared same time as the July 7th bombings, and that this is just a part of that bombing on July 7th?
Well, John, I think that the July 7th bombings, first of all, were almost completely successful for the terrorists, but not quite. We had the 3 bombs that went off on the subway. It yet remains to be seen whether those individuals carrying those bombs knew that they were going to be suicide bombers. Then we had the 4th bomb go off almost an hour later on a bus, top level of the bus, towards the rear of the bus, not the center of mass, not where you would expect the thing if it was going to be there to deliver the maximum amount of casualties. So it could be that there was a certain affinity group or copycat element that came out today, or another cell just trying to replicate it, even though it didn't go well or 100% well on the 7th. But today, yesterday, when the devices didn't function, it was one of 2 things. Historically, terrorists fail by their own hand about 1 out of 3 times. We interdict about 1 out of 3 times. And then we had a case where maybe something went low order. So this is a standard distribution of terrorist success and failure, what happened yesterday, and I think that that's the most likely explanation. Second explanation is that Western intelligence services, doing what they can, maybe on the periphery, may have had the ability to introduce elements into the equation that were tried to be used by terrorists and didn't function as they should. So it might be a Western intelligence success, most likely a terrorist self-failure.
You're talking about one of our own spooks getting in the middle of their cell and screwing up their bombs?
Whether you're able to provide materials that you know aren't going to function as they should, whether you're able to do a great analysis of how the bombs were detonated, John, on the 7th of July, and then put some jamming measures or other measures in place by the 21st of July. I'm saying that the possibility exists that the 21st attacks were a Western intelligence
Eric,
success.
what do you make of these young bombers? We got such good pictures of them now.
Well, John, the thing that stands out in my mind is they look so Western. They look like Western hip-hop fans. The one guy has a hooded sweatshirt on, New York emblazoned across the front. Another guy has a hat on, cocked to the side, backwards. They look so Western, they could blend right in. When you're thinking suicide bomber, if you're on the subway, you're not exactly thinking of these guys. They don't quite fit the profile that most Americans and probably most Britons would really think a suicide bomber, an Islamic suicide bomber, would look like. So that just shows you how they blend and they adapt to their surroundings. And they've really, the British community the Muslim community in Britain is really living on the periphery of London and of British society. They're off on an island on their own. They haven't assimilated. In certain ways, though, they know how to dress, how to look, how to talk to blend in to British society and then carry out attacks.
All right, Jeff Beatty and Eric Stickleback, thanks to both of you. Appreciate it.